It was a dark and eerie night when the train from Mumbai to Delhi had left, but Kashi's parents, unaware of what awaited them, didn't know they would have to spend a night in Jaipur, a night that would become the most terrifying experience of their lives. This tale takes us back to when 14-year-old Kashi lived with his family in Mumbai. Kashi's parents, Rama and Sanjeev, originally from Delhi, had moved to Mumbai years ago for work. Kashi had visited Delhi only once when he was just 5 years old. After many years, Sanjeev decided to take the family on a trip, intending to show Kashi his grandparents' house. As the train left Mumbai, Kashi gazed out the window, smiling at the vast, dark sky. His mother, Rama, lay sleeping beside him, that as she dozed off, Rama suddenly dreamt of her younger son, Nitin. The dream was so vivid and real, and it confused her. After all, Rama had long buried the memory of Nitin, her son who had tragically passed away. But now, in her sleep, she was haunted by him once again. That a sudden wave of sweat broke across Rama's forehead. She woke up, feeling an unsettling unease deep within. Sanjeev noticed the distress in his wife's eyes and immediately asked her what was wrong. But Rama, still in a daze, didn't answer. Instead, she quietly turned toward the window and stared outside, her thoughts lost in a swirl of sorrow as the night stretched on. The train stopped at Jaipur station. A technical issue had forced all passengers, including Kashi's family, to disembark. With no other choice, Sanjeev decided that they would spend the night in Jaipur and take the first train to Delhi the next morning. Around midnight, surrounded by the vast emptiness, Sanjeev booked a hotel near the railway station. As Kashi stepped into the room, a sudden, sharp pain pierced through his head. It was intense and unrelenting, but Kashi shrugged it off as a mere headache. Without telling his mother, he decided to lie down and try to sleep. Rama, still restless, couldn't quiet her mind. She kept thinking about her little boy, Nitin. The memory of Nitin haunted her every waking moment. When Kashi was 5, the family had taken a trip to Jaipur. At the time, Nitin was an infant, and during their return journey, tragedy struck. As Sanjeev held Nitin in his arms, he had briefly dozed off for just a few minutes. When he woke up, Nitin was no longer in his arms. Panicked, Sanjeev had awakened Rama, and together they searched desperately for Nitin throughout the train. After a long search, they found him sitting near an open train door. But before they could reach him, the train lurched violently, and in that instant, Nitin fell into the darkness, vanishing forever. The sound of Rama's piercing scream echoed in Sanjeev's ears as they searched hopelessly. Years had passed since that tragic night, and Kashi had no memory of his younger brother. Rama's heart broke as she remembered Nitin, and tears welled in her eyes. As she lay in bed, her emotions swirled in a whirlwind of grief and love. Suddenly, she felt something shift beneath the bed. A cold shiver ran down her spine. She stayed still, her heart pounding in her chest, trying to gather her thoughts. The clock on the wall read 3:30 a.m. To her horror, the temperature in the room plummeted, an unnatural chill that made her shiver, despite the warm air outside. Then, a voice echoed softly in her ear. "Mom, look at me. I am your Nitin." The voice was so faint, yet it felt as though it came from within her very soul. Rama froze, feeling her body go cold with fear. Her heart raced as she remembered an old saying, "Never turn around when an entity calls your name." The voice continued to call her for a few more minutes, and then, as suddenly as it had started, it stopped. The room gradually warmed up again, but the fear and unease lingered in the air like a thick fog. With great trepidation, Rama turned around slowly, but there was no one behind her. Kashi's mouth hung open, his eyes staring blankly at the ceiling, as if he were trapped in some otherworldly trance. Rama's heart skipped a beat as she touched Kashi's burning forehead. He was burning with fever, his skin uncomfortably hot. She hurriedly gave him medicine, but nothing worked. Kashi's fever refused to subside. Desperate, Rama woke Sanjeev, and together, they returned to the room. They were horrified to see Kashi shaking violently, as if some unseen force was attacking him. Suddenly, Kashi's eyes turned completely white, and he began floating in the air. A chilling laughter, like that of a child, echoed throughout the room, making the hairs on Rama's neck stand on end. The lights flickered and dimmed as though they were alive, flickering in a disturbing rhythm. Sanjeev screamed for help, his voice trembling with fear. The hotel staff rushed to their aid, but by the time they arrived, Kashi had collapsed, unconscious. The lights returned to normal, and everything seemed to fall into an eerie silence. They rushed Kashi to a nearby hospital, but by the time they arrived, Kashi appeared to be completely normal. His fever had vanished. He didn't remember much of what had happened, but he mentioned seeing a small child sitting near the window of the room. Rama and Sanjeev were terrified. What had happened to Kashi? Was it the spirit of Nitin? Or was it something else? Something far more sinister? The fear weighed heavily on their hearts as they spent the rest of the night in the hospital. The next morning, they boarded a bus to Delhi, but the terror from that night still lingered in their minds. Upon reaching Delhi, Kashi's parents sought the help of a priest, desperate for answers. After hearing their story, the priest explained that the entity calling Rama's name was not Nitin's spirit, but another malevolent force trying to exploit their painful memories. He reassured them that it would no longer cause them any harm. The priest also told them that Nitin's spirit was still with them, protecting them, always watching over them. With the priest's comforting words, Kashi and his family returned home, feeling a sense of peace. They knew that, despite the horrors they had faced, Nitin's spirit was with them, forever guarding and protecting them.